Hello everyone, this is Poke Viking with a W, talking everything about investments in Europe for the Pokemon market, coming to you with another episode about a side project that I started to do on my own when it comes to charting the path of how quickly its product being bought out and how the prices reflect that on the current market. And overall I will be doing this every Saturday to track what are the differences, what is moving, what is not, because as you might know, probably most of you know, card market is the only source of information that we can use for these kinds of um, market movements and analysis. So I decided to do this on a weekly basis and to set all the prices and all the remaining supply for each set from the modern day era all the way coming from Mega Evolution all the way back to Sun and Moon, because when I did this I kind of perceived that it makes most sense, also due to the fact that the supply going even further back doesn't make sense to track as it's very low in that stage already. So the good news is, if you are looking to increase your money or your bank, you don't need to wait that long for the good return on investment. Now, I covered the prices and the different videos previously. How are they currently compared to the US market, compared to the like German variants and stuff like that. But now I'm comparing this on a week by week basis, and also in terms of prices and also in terms of supply. And I will be also comparing it on a yearly basis once the year finishes. So it will be a long-term project of mine because I'm really interested how these things evolve in due time and what is the velocity of people spending the amounts of money and which sets they are focusing at the moment. Because as you might know, there are still a lot of influencers on the internet, and everything from my point of view is being shilled only to the products that make most sense in terms of investments. And I don't say they are incorrect or anything. I'm just thinking that in some cases it's misleading to feel like you should buy every set or you should buy what is currently being hyped. And I want to shed some light on what the data actually tells us and what we should be buying when it comes to sealed product. So going from bottom to top, or from the most modern set to the oldest set from Sun and Moon, I will do some price comparison and give my commentary on that. So starting off with Chaos Rising, from a price perspective, nothing is moving that much. It's even decreasing, and that's, I think, just natural because the supply is just there right now. It's the newest set. Similar story with Perfect Order, but the thing is that even in the previous or in the previous three weeks, you can see that the buying power or enthusiasm, I will call it, is not really there. So kind of goes to show that the prices are currently where they should be. Now, Ascended Heroes, if you look at it, they are increasing by quite a lot actually, even in 3 weeks time. So, and we know that because this is the most hyped set of probably the modern era right now. And I'm saying hype not because of the structure or anything, but people really like this set, and I'm one of those enthusiasts because I think there's various checkboxes that this product actually like checks out and is a good investment overall. So the overall climb in price is natural and also not, because the modern day printing capacities are not up to par with the demand. So there's a lot less product on the market than actual demand. So these prices for the modern sets are a little bit artificial, but as you can see, they are the current market prices. So we will go with that. Phantasmal Flames has a little bit of a drop. I don't know if these swings, let's call them, like the price drops, are just like people trying to get some profit out of their investment, or if it's just that some supply has hit the market. Overall, this is just coming from card market, so I'm unable to like track every shop in the European Union because every country has their own different shops and also online retailers and shops that they buy from, independent also of if it's an English set or a different language. So overall, this is what we see on card market, and I'm using it as a benchmark. So Phantasmal Flames dropping a little bit in price. Mega Evolution still stagnant, and I think this is fairly undervalued set. I think it deserves a little bit more love because it is a very good set. When it comes to also base sets, this is quite a unique set. Going up to White Flare, it's kind of stagnant on 80 euros. Black Bolt is somewhat the same still, but from its previous buying price when it was at release, it's fairly up overall. At least I bought them for like 60 euros, and I personally think this is a very good investment overall. Destined Rivals still at 310, and I think these prices will make much more sense when we go to the supply as well. It's unfortunate that currently I cannot display it next to each other because it will skew up my Excel sheet, but it is what it is. But we'll come back to that. Journey Together, not really liked set, so overall it even decreased in price. Prismatic Evolution, it's kind of all over the place, so I think there was like a supply hitting the market and now it's going back up again. And this is also happening in the US. So since we're going in tandem, this is like a good sign of good behavior when it comes to these two distinguished markets. Surging Sparks, finally, I would say, increasing. We saw that it wasn't like for a very long time, it was on the same price. And now, even if it's like 5 euros, I'm happy to see that this is finally coming up. Stellar Crown, still the same. Shrouded Fable, still a price trap. Twilight Masquerade, it's still the same, even though it's quite high. I think it's doubled since like the MSRP times. Temporal Forces, not sure what's happening there, but it's still the same price, I guess. Paldean Fates, this is again increasing, and I assume the focus is shifting on this set. Paradox Rift, not a good set, and overall it's still on the same price for a very long time. 151. I don't know why it's at 400 right now. I think this is just some offloading of people that really want to get their money back, because if I think 2 or 3 boxes disappear from card markets, it's back again on 450-ish or something like that. We'll see next week. Obsidian Flames, still the same price. Paldea evolved. It's steadily increasing, and this is a good sign of a good investment overall. Not at this price point, however. I'm not an advocate of buying when sets are on these price levels, and I will explain that in another video, but I'm more or less an advocate of buying when it's early, when it's cheapest, and setting yourself, so you should set yourself some kind of limit to what price is acceptable for you, because there's many sets that are coming out over the year overall, and your money can be tied to more products in terms of quantity and therefore increase in interest way quicker than if you were just to buy one product. Now, that is a context on its own, because in the modern age is the prices of booster boxes are not at MSRP. They are like really inflated, but I think this is the price that we will go forward with when it comes to the future. So I think if nothing changes when the new printing capacity comes into play from at least the US, then probably we will stick to these new prices and we will have to adjust our strategies accordingly to new booster box pricings, somewhere around 200 euros, I would assume. Okay, back to like the analysis. Scarlet and Violet is 180 euros. Crown Zenith, still a good price for 255. Sword and Shield Silver Tempest steadily increasing. One thing I would like to denote, at least from these three price values, if you see like on a week by week basis a steady increase, I think this is a perfect sign of a good investment. If there is only like a steady increase, if there's a price drop, it just means there's some kind of supply hitting the market or whatever. But if it's like a wonky supply, then it might be still a good investment. Overall, like a healthy movement of this sort, I think is a perfect place where you should put your money in. Lost Origin, kind of all over the place, but I think this is somewhat skewed, and overall it's at a good price, but it's not moving that much, at least in Europe. Pokemon Go still a money trap. Astral Radiance moving up, and this is also looking fairly good, like every week. Brilliant Stars. It fell down a little, not sure what is up with that, but then it's still steadily rising up again, and we will, I think, see this one in the supply, and you will see what the numbers are there, how it's actually being bought out. Fusion Strike, somewhat similar story. Celebrations, I think this will go up in the upcoming weeks when the new celebration set starts to pop, and the celebration of the 30th anniversary will commence. Evolving Skies somehow decreased, but it's still climbing again. Chilling Rain overall on the same price level. Battle Styles not moving at all. Shining Fates somewhat started moving, and I think this somewhat is a missed opportunity because I personally think this is quite a good set. But overall, it was at a price point before this week at 80 euros, I think, if I recall correctly. I would have to look it up. But overall, if you think of this as a price increase week per week, very good investment. Vivid Voltage still at the same level. Champions Path still same. Darkness Ablaze still same. We can say for the timing. Rebel Clash same. Sword and Shield base same. Now the Sun and Moon era, I'm gonna pop it just to have it at the very top. Sun and Moon Cosmic Eclipse, huge increase of 350 euros, and overall between the weeks like 450 euros. Hidden Fates also steadily increasing, which is a good sign, and it was a very good set. Unified Minds still at the same price level. Unbroken Bond same price level. Team Up same. Lost Thunder huge price spike, and we will see that in the supply as well. Dragon Majesty, this I would be very cautious, and this is just a disclaimer that it's not really relevant because in the previous weeks there was like one set that was damaged by with 500 euros, or not set, one box that costed 500 euros, and then it was only the other box that's there that costs 2000, so only two boxes total. Then this week, the week number 18, that $500 box, or dollar, 500 euro box was bought out, and only the 2000 one remained. And now, again, only one box that costs 1000 is being added to Dragon Majesty's inventory. So overall, if this one gets bought out, it's back to 2000. So be cautious of that number. Celestial Storm decrease a little bit. Forbidden Light also a little bit decrease. Ultra Prism is somewhat stable-ish, but it's decreasing. I guess people are trying to get some profits and just putting it on the market. Crimson Invasion also decreasing. Shining Legends overall increased. Burning Shadows decreased over the span of 3 weeks. Guardians Rising decreased, and Sun and Moon also decreased. So from what I can gather, people are starting to sell off these older sets just to get some profit. And if they are doing something in terms of like taking profits and then like buying the other things from these modern eras, we can assume that the money is flowing from Sun and Moon into either Sword and Shield or Scarlet and Violet. But the most I think the best contender where the money could go is Sword and Shield at this point. Now let's look at the supply, which will tell the whole story. I'm going to try and zoom it a little bit more. Okay, so supply-wise, Chaos Rising, more supply in this week. Perfect Order, also somewhat. I think the supply came in a little bit probably, but as you can see, like during the course of the 2 weeks when Perfect Order was released, some kind of supply was gobbled up. Ascended Heroes. Now this is kind of an interesting metric. Like the first week that I started was at 1,105, then it decreased by roughly 60, and now it's decreasing again by 30, which is half of the supply. Now, if this kind of trend continues, probably we can expect like a slowdown in increases or decreases of supplies. We'll see on week by week basis. But if it continues at least like 30 boxes per week, then we're in for a hell of a ride when it comes to the overall price until the end of the year. And mind you, this is only a week by week basis, not a month by month basis. So Phantasmal Flames overall decreased by 30 in the span of 30 weeks, which is really healthy-ish. Mega Evolution decreased also by some. Scarlet and Violet White Flare, there's quite a good decrease. Black Bolt also a healthy decrease. So I think people are starting to notice that this is a very good price point for either set, which has a good entry price, and even though it's at this price, so if you're on a budget, you can still buy a lot of product. And if it continues to decrease, then the price might increase drastically, I would assume. So probably you should look at it from this point of view that there might be an opportunity to buy these right now. And if you will wait, then you might miss a chance, probably. Destined Rivals, increase in supply. Journey Together, decrease, quite substantial decrease. Probably this one will start to rise eventually, even though it's still on the same price. Prismatic Evolutions, a huge supply hit the market. So I guess that might be some kind of restock, I would assume. But as we've seen previously, the price was kind of wonky and it's now going up, which is interesting that because the supply went up. So I would assume there was quite a lot of people probably buying all these, so the price jumped back. I'm not sure if there was more at the beginning of the week, but it seems like there is a lot of activity there. Surging sparks steadily decreasing, which is good. We want to see that finally. Stellar Crown, a small decrease, but it's good. It's a healthy decrease. There's some activity there. Shrouded Fable, for whatever reason, this is being bought out and quite heavily week by week basis, but the price is still the same, so I don't know what's up with that. I would assume that eventually it should start climbing a little bit more, but we'll see. Twilight Masquerade, quite a good decrease, even though there some supply was back in the card market realm, but I think this is just people trying to take some profits. Temporal Forces, overall the same. Paldean Fates, overall the same, but the price, I know it increased a little bit. Paradox Rift, decreasing by a small margin, 151. I think this is increasing by some bit, but the price is still the same. Obsidian Flames, decreasing in supply. Paldea Evolve decreasing quite a lot during the span of 3 weeks, which is good. If this continues, then we can expect that the price will increase a little bit more until the end of the year. Scarlet and Violet also decreasing in supply. That's quite good. Crown Zenith somewhat decreasing, so people are buying those. Silver Tempest decreasing, Lost Origin decreasing in supply, Pokemon Go still the same, Astral Radiance decreasing also. So some of the sets are decreasing on like 20 boxes per week, which is kind of good, I would say. Brilliant Stars, overall it's wonky, I would say, but decreasing. Fusion Strike, still the same. Celebrations, wonky. Evolving Skies, wonky. Chilling Rain, wonky. Battle Styles, somewhat wonky as well. I don't think people like them, so they're trying to get rid of them at this price point. Shining Fates, still the same. Pivot Voltage, kind of wonky. Champion's Path, kind of wonky. Darkness Ablaze, well, this is all over the place. Rebel Clash, decreasing by only one, but I guess assuming that since there's not that many and it's a combined amount of all the languages in Europe, even one per week is kind of okay if you think about it. So the price might jump there in the near future, I would assume. Sword and Shield decreasing, but not by a lot. And onto Sun and Moon as the remainder. Cosmic Eclipse wonky all over the place, and Fates increased in supply. Unified Minds decreasing overall, but I know the price was stagnant, I think. Unbroken Bonds, it's a little bit wonky, even though it's a small amount. Team Up, still the same. Lost Thunder decreased by 3 at this price point and time. That's quite a lot. Dragon Majesty, yeah, that's the story I explained. Like there were 2 boxes, then one was bought out. I think this is like the other languages, and now another English language came into play. At least 1 box I know of. Celestial Storm still the same. Forbidden Light. This is increasing in supply, so people are trying to get some profits for Forbidden Light. Ultra Prism. This is still the same, I guess. Burning Shadows, Wonky, Guardians Rising, decreased by 2 boxes at this stage. It's kind of good, I would say, even if it's like 2 week basis. Sun and Moon, I think people are also trying to get some profits there. So if you would like, you can jump back and forward between the takes on this video, and you would see like the differences in prices and supply for each of those boxes, overall expansions. So feel free to have a look at it on your own, make your own conclusions of this. I will be monitoring this, and I will be bringing this to your attention also on a weekly basis. So hope this video gave you some insight on the data, on what is being currently bought out and what is being overall bought and sold, and where the money is going right now. So if you see an opportunity from this data, I think you should jump into it. My best guess would be probably right now that Black Bolt and White Flare are very good opportunities to step into price-wise. But overall, if you have the capital, you can also jump to other Sword and Shield era products that are decreasing in supply more quickly. So if you want to do like a good investment decision there, I don't think you will do a bad one. I'm just not an advocate for those higher prices, but I'd rather go the lower amount route. So yeah, that's it for this video. So I hope this was educational for you. This was Poke Viking with a W, and I will catch you guys next time.